Welcome back to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce and Zach Hewlett here again as your hosts, and today we're joined by Trevor Chadwick. How are you doing, Trevor?
Doing great. Happy to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Likewise. Where are you calling from?
Orem, Utah.
Orem.
Yeah, not too far from where I grew up in American Fork. About 15 minutes away.
Nice.
So I've moved really far.
You guys had some rain there recently, I heard.
Oh my gosh, it was so much, and it wasn't just rain; it was hail, and it was so much hail. I've got this awning out the back of my house, and it's metal, and it was so much hail that wasn't going down the drains or nothing that it actually crinkled.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah, so I had to get out there and figure out a way to straighten it back up.
Wow.
But you avoided the flooding and everything that some people had?
Not entirely, no.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
It wasn't bad. We had some through the windowsills, and so we had to clean up the carpets a little bit, but we had a carpet cleaner, so we were able to pull that water up, and so we were okay. It wasn't like some of the neighbors I went and visited where they had like 4 feet of water.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my word.
Yeah, we were dumping pumps and chucking buckets, trying to get it out. So It was crazy.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
Well, glad you were relatively unaffected and are able to join us. So we'll start off here. We want to know a little bit about if there's anything leading up to the call, getting your call, finding out you're going to Scotland, and your reaction to that. And then we'll actually skip over the mission. We want to know what you've been up to since you've been home. And then we'll go back and reminisce through the mission a little bit. So start us off with getting your call, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I mentioned I grew up in American Fork, and I made it all the way to like 17, 18, before I decided I should probably figure out whether or not the gospel was true. Not exactly the greatest moments. But yeah, I went on this tour back east where they take you to all the church sites and stuff. Really grateful to my parents for doing that, and prayed and got my answer, and was like, all right, let's go, let's do this. I in high school I'd done a couple of years of German, so I thought maybe Germany. I put that on there.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about that in my head as I'm opening it up, and I start reading, to the Scotland, Edinburgh Mission. It's like Scotland, completely did not care that it was that it was not Germany. I was like, I'm going to Scotland, yeah, freedom,
It's a great reaction. I love that.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
very good.
Really pumped.
And remind us of the timing of when you got your call, when you served.
So that was in 2006. I had just graduated about a year before. Had done that trip. Went up to BYU, Idaho, did a semester there. I came back and shortly thereafter got my papers and went. So yeah, I'm trying to remember when in 2006, but it's the same group as Zach Clark and Christian and a few others. Trying to remember.
July?
Anyways. Yeah, right around there somewhere.
I mean, based upon our records, according to the podcast, yeah, I think it was July.
It was
06, right?
It was because yeah. I flew back on July 4th, so I got to see the fireworks and stuff. So that was fun.
That's cool. I love that.
Okay, so you basically started your mission with the Fredericks then.
I did, yeah. So I was their first group, so it was pretty amazing. So, yeah, I remember they flew us over, and doing the MTC in Preston, and them sending everybody out to knock. That was terrifying, especially because I'm kind of more introverted. That was a bit of a shock.
Yeah. So
but
before we get too far into it, let's skip over. We'll go
sorry.
July 2008. What you been up to since then?
Yeah, 2008. Got home, started job in college. I started working at Dell doing the tech support, and went to UVU to do their mechatronics degree, which is mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science kind of together.
That's cool.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, transitioned to Ancestry, doing their tech support. So that was kind of fun. Got a little bit of the genealogy vibe going on, and met my wife around that same time. We went to a public speaking class, and we never spoke to each other the whole time.
The irony.
Yeah, she wrote me off as a nerd, and I wrote her off as having a boyfriend, and we were both right. So it just wasn't the right time. Yeah, it wasn't until like a semester later. I went to a dance and institute dance, and saw her on the dance floor. She was there to meet some other guy, and and we danced and danced a lot. Tried my best not to call her too soon, And she,
Yes.
you remember that part? Anyways, called her, went on a date on like a Wednesday night, or no, that was a Friday night. We wanted to hang out again Saturday night and Sunday night and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And yeah, we were talking about marriage on the third day.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. I always say, everybody, by the third date. No, you're talking about it. That's
Yeah, it was 3 days, 3
That's
dates. It was crazy fast, but she was the one. We both went to the temple, got our answers, and we're like, all right. We're both the type of people that we're like, if we know the right path, we'll go, send it.
It's the magic of those schools in Utah County, right?
I know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was good. That was good. That was amazing. Miraculous, all of the above. We've got 4 kids now.
Nice.
Went on to finish out my degree in computer science. Worked long time for a company called eFile Cabinet as a developer, and then later a little bit an architect, and now I work for a company back east, Locus Robotics. So we work on robots, so it's fun. It's a lot of fun, a little difficult. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's about what I got. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your kids. What ages, gendered, all that.
Yeah, so it's crazy. My 12-year-old just started junior high yesterday.
Crazy.
So that is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. He's awesome. Big baseball fan, and yeah, just a really good kid. And then my next one is my daughter, Maylee. She is too cute for her own good. Has her dad wrapped around her little finger like you would not believe. And yeah, she's adorable. Although she's entering that phase where she needs to be mature and too old to play with dolls and stuff. And then you walk past her door and you look in and you're like, oh, there's a doll, and she's playing with it.
Exactly.
Anyway, she's so cute. And then my next youngest, Mason, he's 7. He's about to turn 8, so he'll be getting baptized here pretty soon. It's just exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's so smart. It's such a He's so quick-witted. He definitely gets it from his mother. It does not come from me. But he's really cool, really fun. I love him. And then my youngest, Bennett, he just started kindergarten as well.
Nice.
And that is
Wow.
crazy. They're all in school now.
All in school. That's a big milestone.
It is.
So mom has some more free time, right?
She does. Yes, she very much enjoyed today, which was the first day of all of them out. And yeah, she was not working. She was just enjoying.
Hopefully she had a good nap and got some tasks done that she's put off for who knows how long.
Yeah.
12 years at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's really good, Trevor.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
a lot of fun.
All right. Well, now let's go back July 2006, and you walk us through MTC, areas, companions, whatever you want to talk about, man.
Cool. Yeah. I mentioned the MTC. That was pretty crazy. I remember. I remember some of the guys in my room. You remember that there was a koi pond next to it? They decided that they needed to fish out of it.
Oh no.
And the MTC president just happened to be walking by and got clotheslined by their own.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, surprised that Zach and Christian didn't bring that up. I think it was them, if I remember correctly.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah, it was
Christian Lucas, bad boy.
Yeah, but no, it was amazing. Yeah, it was definitely a big shock for me because I'm definitely more introverted. But also why the mission was so impactful for me. I don't know that I could have done technical support or now where I'm leading teams of developers and stuff. That I don't think I could have done that without being broke out of my shell a little bit that way. So I'm truly grateful for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I remember them sticking us in vans and busing us up to the mission home. And I remember getting to the mission home and getting assigned to Elder Oliver.
Donovan.
Yeah, Donovan. He was my trainer. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to have him on yet or not, but yeah.
Not yet. He has I've talked to him, and hopefully he's listening to this because you're his son.
Yeah.
So, Donovan, we'd love to have you on the podcast. It's been a minute since I've been in touch with him though, so I'll definitely reach out and let him know that you asked for him.
Yeah. Use it as leverage.
You got it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. He probably the main thing he remembers from me is we walked into the train station to head out to our area, and they were announcing the train times. And I looked at him, and like straight out of the best 2 years, I was like, Elder, what language were they just speaking? I didn't understand any of it.
Yep, that's about right.
Yeah, it was. Oh my goodness, it was quite the shock. Yeah, we got on the train. It was pretty amazing. I was coming in to replace Elder McKay. He's from all accounts a rock star elder, and him and Elder Oliver really had the area hopping, which was awesome. So I got to be involved in a couple baptisms there. Oh, before I get too far though, I remember going up to Arthur's seat to not commit.
Dedicate.
Yeah, dedicate the mission to the Lord. And, yeah, I remember the feeling up there, and then and it was it was amazing to some of the insights and things that you have up there, and I got real fired up from that and the MTC and whatnot, and I think that's why I don't know if they remember it, but we had these cards trump cards that were a big thing, right? And there were paramissionaries who made trump cards of the other missionaries.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I remember getting mine, and I was looking through the things, and they had things like scriptural knowledge, and a little bit lower score, and understandably, and and spiritual presence, and again, not so great. And then they had one called Greenie Fire, and and I had like a 10 out of 10 because I was let's go,
That's love. I love it.
Oh, it's so funny. I may not know what to do with it, but I got it, Anyway.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was amazing.
What was the area that you went to, Trevor?
Pollock was the area, and remember meeting Annie Devlin. She was amazing. She was investigating the church, and she was like my grandma that I never knew. Just amazing, and was so blessed to be a part of her journey, and yeah, she was such a special. She was always so she was very quick-witted as well, right? So she was always on the ball, and yeah, I loved her. She was great. But yeah, loved the people of Pollock. That is where I think Christian might have mentioned it, where it was a bit of a rougher neighborhood. That's where we unfortunately there was a kid who was killed out front of our apartment and stuff, and it's a little sad that way, but it was also super dense. I was in the Glasgow Triangle, and because of that, I think we were super blessed with lots of people to potentially teach as we did. I remember actually writing the mission president saying, "I love this area. Leave me in Glasgow." I didn't know at the time. That's the triangle, and you don't get out.
Just that greeny fire getting at you.
It was, but you know what? I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. It was. I mean, I would have loved to see the Hebrides and stuff, and the Highlands and stuff, but it was yeah. I was grateful to be there. It was good. So I shared that area with Elder Oliver, and then I got Elder Churko, and he was my challenging companion, but I also got my favorite scripture from him, First Nephi 4:6. For not knowing beforehand the things which I should do, Nephi's walking into the city of Jerusalem, and all their plans have failed, and he's got nothing but faith. And meanwhile, on the other side, he's got captain of the guards and all the guards, and they are ready to whack him on first sight, And the faith that he showed in that moment was amazing, and I've always appreciated Elder Turco for sharing that with me. It's probably partially challenging because of the way that he came into the mission, into our area. We had kind of a running thing with one of the members. She was always worried that her chili was too hot, and you could just barely taste the spice. And so I challenged her to make spicier chili. and we went back, and it was there, but it wasn't like super spicy, So I let on and challenged her to make it even more spicy. This time she dumped 2 tubs of cayenne powder in there and 2 tubs of chili powder in it. It wasn't a sauce; it was more like a grit. And
yikes!
I forgot to mention this to Elder Turco, and yeah, why let him up so he had problems the rest of the night. I feel so bad looking back. I didn't warn him at all. Oh man, I just forgotten. I'd forgotten that the challenge was on. It's like, oh. Oh my goodness. So that probably didn't help our relationship. You know what I mean? Oh,
You're not the only one though, Trevor, that dealt with the what's the word I would use? It's kind of like it's the shock of going from your trainer, who is your first experience, to having to adjust pretty rapidly to the second companion. That can be hard.
yeah.
I can say, and Dan Conway's listening, that was a challenge for me. But we learn and we grow. I mean, it's just part of what we do.
We do. We definitely do. Yeah, it was definitely a growing experience. I remember Elder Oliver, my trainer. I remember going to write my first president's letter, and I was like, "What do I write him about?" And he's like, "Well, you tell him about how the area's doing, how things doing, and you always tell him that you love your companion and he's doing a great job. You always tell him that." I'm pretty sure.
Good training there.
I know, right? I'm pretty sure Elder Oliver was, just being sarcastic or whatever, but he says it with this dead serious face, and you cannot tell. You cannot tell. And I am incredibly gullible. So every letter to the president was like, Elder Oliver's so good. I love being with Elder Oliver. And he was good. To be fair, he was good. But it was just looking back, I'm like, wow, I took that one hook, line, and sinker. So,
and Elder Oliver got promoted after that, like,
he did.
because you were so good.
District leader.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he did. Oh goodness, yeah, good times. But yeah, no, it's amazing area. I remember Jake Pollock was the first investigator that I ever challenged to baptism, and the feeling in that moment was incredible. Leading up to it, the feeling of the Spirit being there and being so strong, it was amazing. I'll never forget that, and never forget Jake Pollock. I have been trying to find him since my mission, and no luck. So if he's watching, or if anybody knows or whatever, please let him know I'm looking for him. He's such a good kid, so much fun, and anyways, yeah. So
yeah, my suggestion too, Trevor, is if you have any connections that are still in the area where he lived, reach out to them and ask them.
Yep.
In my recent experience in one of my wards, I asked about a few people, and they knew about them, but it was a name that hadn't crossed their mind in a while. So sometimes they just need those reminders once in a while to check in on people.
For sure, yeah. And hopefully one of these days we get a chance to go back there and maybe go visit the Pollock ward.
There you go.
And see if I can, rustle them up. But yeah. So that was a lot of fun, challenging there. Got transferred to Coatbridge to be with Elder Schneider. He was the district leader at the time, and he is a good guy. Good guy. Very strict with the rules. I remember that, which that rewards and blessings. So that was really great. It was good to be with him, and shortly thereafter transferred to Elder Smith, JH. And Elder Smith is awesome. Anybody who knows him knows he's awesome. I loved serving with him. It unfortunately got cut short a little bit. I was born with a heart defect, called wolf-white syndrome. And it means that I have an extra nerve that grew in my heart. And like when I was born, my heart was going 200 beats per minute. And so they took me and shoved me into like an ice bath to try to shock my heart back to a normal rhythm. Couldn't get it, so they put me on drugs. Maybe explains a few things. I don't know. But it went away, and then after hitting puberty and all that, I'd occasionally have an episode or two where my heart would pick back up to the 200 beats, and went and saw the doctor about it. Doctor's like, yeah, you'll probably be fine. And at the time I was only having like one episode once every other month or so. But with the extra activity and stuff of missionary work, it started to happen more and more and more, until in that area it was happening daily. And
That's crazy.
yeah, and they sent me some medicine to try to calm it down, get it under control. Just it wasn't working, and me and Elder Smith, we were out playing soccer on a P day, and and I remember walking over the side of the field, and I just remember the lights going out, and I collapsed on the field, and luckily when I hit the ground, it was like a jump start, because with wolf whites, your heart goes up to 200 beats per minute, and then it stops and restarts at a normal pace. Problem is sometimes it doesn't start again, and so that happened, and I collapsed and
Oh my gosh.
started again. And so I was like, all right, we're here. But as you can imagine, that kind of ended that moment, or that time. I was flown home, and a series of blessings happened, one right after another. One, I remained called. Normally they release you when something like that happens, but and they gave me the option, but I was determined. I was like, I want to stay called because I want to go back. And within, and like in Scotland, if you've ever had to use the medical system, and with a lot of socialist healthcare, unless you're literally dying, you're not going to be able to get what you need. And it was going to be like 6 months before I'd see a surgeon potentially.
Yeah.
And so I got home, and within a week, I'd seen a cardiologist who was able to refer me to a specialist, and the ablation surgery had only really been around for a couple of years at that point. And I got referred to the specialist of the entire world on oblations, who is married to a member. So he decided, they're in Utah. And
Amazing.
Yeah. So within 2 weeks, I'm getting the surgery. And it was amazing because up until that point, every doctor I'd seen, he's like, well, you look fine. They do like an EKG and it would come up completely clear, and they'd be like, you're fine. As far as I can tell. And it wasn't until I got to that specialist, and that particular specialist, like even his nurse did the EKG, was like, yeah, you look healthy, you look good. And then he walks in, he looks at it, and he's like, yeah, I can see the problem already. And it took the right person being in the room, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. They did the surgery, and it was a challenging one for them. Initially, they said, we're going to put like 1 or 2 holes in you to to run the wires up into your heart and do the surgery. And I woke up and I had 4 on one side, 2 on the other, and 3 in my neck.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But it's just because the nerve was in the hardest to reach part. So again, if it hadn't been that specialist,
yeah,
who knows? So I'm super, super grateful. But they did it. And all through my recovery time, because, it's just a couple of pinholes. I went and was able to serve at the temple. And I would just serve at the temple every day, for the entire transfers. And, yeah, luckily, they gave President Frederick the choice of whether or not he wanted to bring me back. And luckily he thought it would be good to have me back. Thank goodness. It shouldn't matter, and it shouldn't, and I'm sure I would have found happiness in it wherever they would have wanted me. But yeah, within the space of a transfers, I was back in Scotland.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is
It was.
incredible.
Wait, you're saying all of that happened in a 6-week span?
Yep.
Man,
2 weeks to get the surgery, 4 weeks to recoup, and for the doctor to sign off and send me on.
wow.
That's unheard of. But again, you said it was because of the certain individual that happened to be right there, got you in, done, and you're on your way.
Yep.
Wow,
Dr.
that's
Wong.
cool.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, especially because he was the only one. He's the only one. All the others said I was crazy. I mean, I had a one of them full, wires all over harness while I was still in Scotland, because I wasn't ignoring it. I had the full wiring harness on. Elder Smith. So I get it on, and at this point they're happening like every other day, right? And so they put me on a 48-hour monitor, or maybe a 72, and the whole time nothing happens. I right before I'm about to return it, I was like, all right, Elder Smith, because I've been told, I was like, because of this heart condition, you can't play sports, you can't play anything where you can get hit hard in the chest. So I was like, Elder Smith, time to use them rugby skills. Hit me.
You did not.
I totally did. I was such an idiot. He plowed into me. And oh man, he hit me so hard, and it didn't do it. It still didn't do it. I was like, we drop it off. We drop it off at the hospital, and we're walking back to the train station, and I take a step onto the train, and that triggers it, and it goes, like, are you kidding me? I was so mad.
Man,
That's amazingly crazy. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it was a bit of an adventure, but the one thing I took away from all of that was just that I never, because that's life threatening, right? Like, come to find out, my grandmother's brother died from it. It's a thing that skips a generation, and he died from it. They knew it as runner's heart or athlete's heart, and I just always had this feeling of, you're gonna be fine. Don't even worry about it. Just focus on the work, and and he did. He kept that promise, that comfort. So it was amazing to me, and I'm so grateful for how that happened. So yeah.
So you get back to Scotland. Where did you end up after that?
So I ended up in Dumbarton for a little while, with Elder Adams.
Nice.
He's such a good-hearted guy. I loved serving with him. He was really amazing. Really, really amazing. Loved serving with him. And then not too long after that, because due to a little bit of a time delay, I think I got there like mid-transfers or something. So I wasn't there for terribly long, and then I think this is April, and so within a month, so May, I transferred out and went with Elder Carpenter into Bishopriggs.
Nice.
Yeah, another Glasgow Triangle area. But it was amazing. Elder Carpenter, oh my goodness. that man, he taught me one of the most important lessons, which was you can have fun and work at the same time. Now, there are other lessons that I've learned in spiritual lessons, but he was the one where he taught me that we can have fun and we can work, and we were both there. We both wanted to work, and we lit that area up. It was wonderful. It was so much fun, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I had, was able to be involved with a few baptisms there. And then it didn't last. I wish I would have, but it didn't last very long before I was transferred out to Dunfermline. And yeah, and that place is pretty amazing, especially from like a historical context stuff. And
Agreed.
Did you get a chance to visit it while you were over there?
I was there for church on Sunday.
Oh, snap. Oh, I'm so jealous.
Love the Dunfermline Ward.
They're amazing. Really, really amazing. Did you by chance meet the Gibsons, or the Sister Gibson still attending by any chance?
I remember Sister Gibson. I don't recall if she was there or not, though. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think so.
Man, they were the home away from home. We spent Christmas there. She's got Robert, her husband, who's basically a dry Mormon. That guy just needs to suck it up and get baptized.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he does. But anyways, if not, we'll get him on the other side.
There you go.
But they were amazing. I served with Elder Wilcoxon, he is so much fun. Such a good guy, a lot of fun. Man, he teased the living crap out of Sister Gibson. I remember a P-Day spent there when we ended up in a water gun fight with them, and then the water guns were put away, and he ended up in a flour fight afterwards with them, and flour and water mixing together make a paste.
Oh my gosh. Where in the world did he get flour? Did he steal it out of her cupboards?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Gosh.
I think she threatened to throw it at him first. I think that's how that one went down. And he just went with her.
That's hilarious.
Man.
Yeah, no, that was pretty amazing.
Trevor, what flat did you live in Dunfermline?
Oh goodness.
Were you in the one over the mortuary or the one by the train tracks?
I think the train tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the train tracks was where we ended up. So if I remember correctly, it's been a while. But yeah,
that was the flat I lived in too.
Oh, really? Okay, yep. Cool.
Up there on the third floor.
Yeah, there was a lot of stairs getting up there. It's good for us.
They said that, yep.
It's good for us. Yeah. Cool. So Wilcox had transferred out, and then I got Hamblin. He was my trainee, my greenie. I worked him to the bone. Oh man, I felt bad looking back. we would go out at the earliest you could go out. I think it's 8:30 or something. We'd go out the absolute earliest, and we would work through lunch. We'd work through dinner, and then we'd come back in at the absolute latest you could come. Oh man. Anyways, worked him super hard, but it was because there was something I needed to learn there. That in a situation that only I don't know what other situation I could have safely learned that lesson. And the area was struggling at the time, and I couldn't figure out why. And and I've got this screening that I'm supposed to be showing how to help bring people into the gospel, and I can't seem to do it. And and it was, it was getting pretty bad. Some pressure from the zone leaders and whatnot, rightfully so, and it was causing me such anxiety that I was having chest pains from it, and and I was worried surgery, but maybe something's gone wrong, maybe something's reverted, and went into the hospital, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. We just think you're having an anxiety attack, and I, I was like, what? Anxiety attack? Like, what's this?
It's your first taste of parenthood.
Yeah, and I finally came to the realization that throughout all of my mission up until that point, I never really, I don't know if it was not connecting to the Lord directly, or just not believing in my own ability to convey the Spirit as part of my teaching, and my own ability to be someone who can connect someone to heaven. And I don't know that I would have looked internally to identify that, to realize that, and to go to the Lord and be like, hey, I don't, just to be broken down to the state where the Lord could teach me something, and he could help me to understand what was going on, what was happening, and yeah, it was a big turning point for me in my mission, and one of the greatest lessons I'll ever treasure. It was super painful, very hard to, very 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 difficult lesson to learn. I remember, yeah, I remember telling the zone leaders off because they're like, you need to work more, and we're going from 8:30 in the morning till 9:30 at night. I'm like, that's not it. I remember telling, I was like, listen, Elder, God knows that I am working hard, and I know that I'm working hard, and that's all that matters. And he's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, Elder. And he hung up.
Oh, man.
And it was that night that I went to the Lord in prayer, and I said, because it's saying that to him, and finally, I guess not fighting back, but just finally standing, I realized, yeah, that's not the problem. It's not that I'm working hard. I'm doing what I'm physically supposed to be doing. I'm studying the scriptures in the morning like I'm supposed to be doing. But is it in here? And is it something that, do I really believe in my own ability to help someone come to the gospel? And yeah, it was amazing. Immediately, like the next day, we found an investigator, and 2 weeks after I left, so this was like 4 weeks into that exchange. 2 weeks after I left, and she was baptized. So
Nice.
it was, yeah, it was amazing. So really hard experience, hard area, hard mission, not hard mission, but well, it was a hard mission, right? Scotland's one of the harder ones, right? Have people lining up to get baptized, for crying out loud. But yeah, I kind of think that was the only way that I would have learned that lesson. I look back.
Yeah.
It was the only way, and so I acknowledge and I'm grateful for the Lord for that difficult time. But yeah, so transferred out of there, went to Sterling, where I'd finish out the rest of my mission. Went there with Elder Goodwin, which I believe you guys have had on. I still haven't watched his, but I'll get to it.
There you go.
Elder Goodwin. What a character. Good man. He was fun to work with. Ari did pretty well with us, and we were able to bring bring a few to the waters of baptism, which was wonderful. He transferred out not too long after that, and I got Elder Mulford, who he would be a lot of fun to have on this podcast. He is a great guy, humble, funny, just a lot of fun to be around and to be with, and yeah, a real blessing to serve with him. And yeah, I think together we found Elder Brother S.E.M. He was a college student at Sterling University, and such a sweet guy. Had come up from Zimbabwe, and just yeah, so humble and kind, and willing to listen and to learn. And yeah, anyways, it was a privilege to have known him and to get to know him. I'm really looking forward to hopefully going on a trip like certain individuals and go catch up with him. He actually, I'm not sure the full details of how it happened, but so he was baptized, he joined the Lord, and he actually, I believe, ended up being adopted by the Bishop Cleland, which is pretty amazing. So
cool.
I'm not sure how that happened, but yeah, that's pretty amazing. So then I finished it out with Elder Golding. Yeah, had the trunky papers, but was still doing my best to push as hard as I can, and push the trunk away to finish strong, as they say. Yeah, and Elder Golding, good companion as well. So it was, yeah, amazing. Sterling was amazing. My goodness, you probably got to spend some time there, I'd imagine. Got to see probably visited the Wallace Monument.
Yep, nearly blew off of it.
Nearly blew off.
It was a windy day. But yes, we did. We spent a lot of time around the Sterling area. It was, I mean, it's a great place. It's a magical place for sure.
It really is. It's beautiful. You're like, okay, this is where they could film Harry Potter or something.
It's true. Very true.
But yeah, it was amazing from a lot of levels, because you had the university there with lots of university kids that, some are more likely to have an open mind, and be more willing to look into things, and so that makes reaching them a little bit easier. So it was a great area to serve in.
That's awesome.
To finish it out. So yeah.
So do you have any particular memories of your mission president or his wife that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So when I was serving with Elder Tripco and struggling a bit, I remember meeting with President Fredrickson, and he knew I was kind of struggling with him. And he said, every companion you're put with can teach you something. There's something for you to learn that the Lord has prepared for you to learn from them. And if he hadn't said that, I don't think I would have latched on to that scripture, latched on to the profound, meaning that it held, and the spirit that it brought, So that's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, I just remember I remember his look, his look you straight in the eyes, and it held a very apostle-like vibe, where you knew they were looking into your soul. So I remember meeting. We had two apostles. We had Elder Holland and Elder Oaks. And I don't remember which one, but there were some amazing talks given by them. One of them, he gets up there and he says, "Brothers and sisters, we have a problem." And everybody's like, "Oh, what?" He's like, "I've been walking around the halls, and there are no children. He says, the command to multiply and replenish the earth has not been rescinded.
Oh dear.
And I remember there was a family we were serving with. In one of the wards, was it Dunfermline? Oh, I don't remember. They have like 7 kids, so tons of kids, in a fairly small house. And I remember him. We were sitting right behind him. He leans over to his wife and says, "I don't think he's talking to us." Oh, it was amazing. It was Oaks. It was Oaks that said that. Yeah. I was amazed. That was my first time being in like a state conference setting with them, and it was amazing how real they were, and of course the spirit that they carried, but also just how you watch them on TV in general conference and whatnot, and they're there, and it just it's not. I can say it's not real, but it feels there's that distance there, and sitting there listening to them, it was amazing. I remember we had an investigator there for Elder Holland's talk, and he is like, he starts talking, and he apologizes to the front row and says, "Hey, when I get kind of excited, I tend to spit. So I'm just going to apologize to you right now." And he got riled up. Holy cow. He was like, "You are the Scottish people. Stand and face." Like just really giving them the what for. And all of it, all of it carried the spirit, but at the same time, it was coming down on him a little bit. And we had a companion. We had an investigator there, and me and my companion just looked at each other like, "Ooh, well, let's hope this goes over well." It did, but a little nervous for a sec. So it was, it was amazing. And like I said, the investigator, they were feeling the spirit and they were enjoying it, and it went really well. If memory serves me, I believe they ended up getting baptized. So, I mean, it was what the people needed. They're inspired, even if what is needed is hard. They're not afraid to say the hard things, to be that mouthpiece to God, which is obviously why they are called to be apostles, or one of the reasons, right? So, but it was amazing. And President and Sister Fredrickson were so wonderful, so kind-hearted. I remember visiting Sister Fredrickson after getting back from Scotland, and her coming up and giving me a hug, and I just I felt like I was home. I'm so grateful for her. She was wonderful, and President Fredrickson's amazing. That was around the same time that the mission as a whole started to make that switch away from chapping doors. And
that's right.
Going to member work. And what a difference it made. I mean, the first year I was there, I remember the numbers. It was 100 baptisms for the whole mission. And we had about 100 missionaries there. And I remember that by the time I left, because of that change, we were up at 300 baptisms a year. It was just incredible, That was a 3x increase just from doing it the right way. Or shouldn't say the right way, but doing it the higher way, the better way, whatever you want to call it. It was obviously an inspired change that President Fredrickson made. So
very true.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anybody else you want to shout out? I mean, you've talked about your companions, but anybody else you interacted with, companions or otherwise, that you want to shout out, that we need to get on here, that we need to help you hunt down, anything like that?
Have you guys got Elder Hardy yet?
Hardy's been on. Hardcore Hardy has been on.
I gotta find him.
His episode. He hasn't changed a bit. That kid.
Oh, that's
love him.
wonderful. I still remember the zone conference where he shared Elder Clark's greenie initiation. And he tells it so well. Pots banging on the walls and Elder Clark getting all sorts of nervous. And then he looked over at Elder Clark, and Elder Clark looked at him and was like, "Should we leave? I don't know. Should we leave? I think we should leave." Like a bullet. He's like he's halfway down the street before he can yell at him and tell him, like, "Come back." Elder Hardy, I mean, he probably don't remember me at all, but I remember him. And yeah, he was great. Elder, oh shoot, he was a zone leader. He was one of my zone leaders. Elder Paternoster, I think. Paternoster.
Yeah, he's been on.
Yeah, he.
I think so. Anyway, let me check my notes.
He was so mad with me when he was zone leader, and then he went on to become my district leader. And
sorry, I lied. Anthony Paternoster has not been on, but call him out.
I'm calling him out. Yeah, he was zone leader. I remember they'd always come. We were riding on the train, and he's like, "Man, your apartment always smelled so good. It was always so clean. It was just amazing." Right? And after he was no longer my zone leader and he was my district leader, I decided to spill the beans because, you know, if they come in and they're looking for crap, they're going to find it. And if they're not, it's just a little more lenient. And and he, you know, he's like, it was always so clean, so clean, smelled so good. And do you remember actually, they still have the shake and vac crystals that you can shake into the carpet and then vacuum it up and it makes it smell like somebody's been cleaning, right?
That was your secret?
They passed us every time, and we didn't do any. I mean, we did a lot of the stuff, but we didn't. You know, we weren't dusting and stuff like that. You know, like
you just shook it in a strip and vacuumed it, and the whole place smelled like it was brand new.
Smelled like we had been cleaning all day. I remember the next time he came to do our flat inspection, he's like, "I know that trick." We still passed, but he was much more particular. He's like, "I don't believe my nose now." Oh,
that's a good one. I didn't even think about it. Something like that. An air freshener would have made a difference.
Yeah.
Some of our stinky, terrible flats that we all lived in.
Yeah. It's fun.
Trevor, I have two questions for you. The first one, your response from your leader when you're having a hard time training your missionary, was that during HammerTime? And if so, how was your experience during HammerTime?
I think that was during HammerTime. Yeah. HammerTime, and man, they hammered the crap out of us. I remember I enjoy classical music, and I remember them coming and confiscating our classical music because classical does not bring the Spirit. And I was very frustrated with them, and I had to deal with that frustration. I was like, "That's not, you know, you got to." Obedience brings blessings. The area will prosper if I'm obedient. You know, and just shoving it down. Oh, until
repress that anger.
Oh, it was so livid, and I just, you know, I'm like, our numbers aren't good. They're not good. We're not seeing success. Like, you know, they have a right to be HammerTime and me, you know, and like I said, if it hadn't been for that situation, I don't know that I would have had that moment of all right, we're done. This is not, you know, you're saying this is the problem. This is not the problem. And the Spirit hit me at the same time. I didn't know there was righteous indignation that the Spirit could act on that, but it was one time in my life that's happened, and the only time that I can recall. and it hit me, and I was like, it really is because it's not a working problem. It's not a disobedience problem, because like I said, that poor Greenie. I'm pretty sure I wore out at least one pair of shoes just in that one transfer sequence with me. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad. But yeah, I'm sorry he had to pay for me to learn that lesson. That's how I'll put that. But it was necessary. And it was hard, but I'm grateful for it for that moment. So
that's good perspective.
Yeah. HammerTime. I haven't heard that in so long.
Listen to a few more episodes of the podcast, you'll hear it.
Yeah?
Especially from your era.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Interesting.
The most interesting conversation pieces that we've had, Trevor, is when we've talked with those that were in leadership positions during that time.
Oh.
Some have looked back retrospectively and seen the error in their ways. And then there's others that have just shared how that was, in their own sense, the best way forward for the mission. And eventually it got to the point where it was probably more of a negative than it was a positive, especially when it came to some decisions being made with baptizing people without permission of people in wards and things like that. But it allowed future missionary generations to kind of regenerate the love that was necessary to be done first before the work could progress. So the way that all worked, I know it was for a reason, and there's definitely some hindsight is 2020 as a result of that. But I'm sure many missionaries who went through that, like yourself, it had to have been challenging to have people come through your flats, to throw everything upside down, to try and find some sort of contraband that may or may not have been present there. And
that classical music.
Classical music.
My gosh. I mean, it was like the Disney hits and things that some of us had in our CD cases that I don't know. It's just interesting the way that changed. And Jack and I have talked about it several times. We probably wouldn't have survived in such an environment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I remember the first time them coming through and they were taking EFY, and I'm like, okay, all right, I guess, all right, EFY, that's a spirit breaker. But I was like, all right, there's some more fast-paced ones that you could rock out to, I guess. And so I justified it, right? So shoved down a little bit. It's like, all right, I'm going to be obedient. I'll give it to them. And then when they came back again and took the classical, I was like, really? Classical? I'm agreeing with this less. But I'm not even sure, but I swear at one point they might have even taken my Motab. That one, I was like, okay, all right.
One of their more raucous albums. Those rowdy Mormon Tabernacle Choir people.
Rowdy.
Man, that's too funny.
It took them taking absolutely every excuse away, at least for me, right? It took every excuse away, right? I was like, there is nothing that I am doing at this point that I can even begin to think of that could be me being disobedient and justifying the area being dead, like it took that, I might have taken longer to get to that realization, because I might have had to look at my looked at myself, and maybe I would have thrown my own music out, who knows. But it took that moment for me to get it. Now I'm guessing there are probably other missionaries that probably also benefited from a little more hammering. I'd imagine I'm probably not alone, but yeah, it was rough, but needed in my case. Not because I was being disobedient, but just because I needed to have a little one-on-one with the Lord. So.
It was our fault. We've heard it was our generation that was a bunch of apostates, which
oh yeah,
I have no idea how that's the truth. But anyway, figure that out through the podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Trevor, we really appreciate you taking the time and coming on tonight. I know this takes away from your kids and your wife a little bit, but it's excellent for you. Come on, reminisce a little bit. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Podcast's not possible without our guests. So if you're out there listening and kind of on the fence, if you want to come on or not, please reach out. And there's multiple ways to do that. You probably have a message from Zach in your Facebook messages if you're connected that way. But if you want to reach out to us, there's multiple ways to do that too. You can email us directly at SEMpodcast@51spylaw.com, or you can go to the website 51spylaw.com and fill out a contact form, and we'll get with you that way. Yeah. But we really, like I said, we appreciate it, Trevor. We love you as our brother in Scotland. It's great to hear your experience. Pretty unique one. We've heard a couple that have gone home and come back, but unique condition and some miracles that happened for you. That was great to hear as well.
Yeah, agreed. And I can give you a quick update too, Trevor. I have been in touch with Dexter Snyder. We have not figured out dates yet, so hopefully Dexter will come on. Chad Wilcoxon and I have been texting for the last year and a half, trying to figure out him coming on the podcast, and he has not given me a date. So Chad, this is a call out. This is a call out to you. Come on the podcast. We'd love to have you. And
I'm calling you out, Wilcoxon.
And anybody else that you're still in contact with, I know McKay Lynch lives in your neck of the woods somewhere. You probably should try and track him down because he will not answer my phone calls or my text messages. But anybody else that you're connected with social media wise, reach out, share the podcast that you've done with them. And hopefully that'll give them the inspiration to, one, listen to the podcast, and then two, hopefully they'll have the courage enough to come on in the future. So
it's great. I was going to just to, I guess, share with anybody listening. I was worried about it, that there was ups and downs to my mission. It was, I wasn't too sure, but this has been great. It's been a lot of fun. And if you're thinking about it, do it. You'll enjoy it.
That's a great plug. Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
All right, brother. We'll give you a cheerio, and we'll talk more soon. I love you, brother. See ya.
Have a good one. Love you guys. See ya.
Bye.